Hey everyone, it's Jason, and welcome to Zombicide Gear Up. Now this is a special flip and right game in the world of Zombicide. So what that means is two things. First of all, it's not an expansion for any of the miniature zombie games. It's a completely separate game where you're going to use different character cards, and you don't have any miniatures of that. That's the second thing, is being a roll or right and flip. It's kind of like a roll and write game. Is you get to write on the cards and do stuff like that instead of moving around miniatures. So to kind of take a quick look at the instruction book, and then I'm going to kind of like show off the cards and do some of the gameplay that way. But yeah, so what you're going to do is you're going to get these big giant character cards to play as some dry erase markers. And you're going to take control of one of the 6 survivors. You can play 1 to 6 player games. You can have all 6 players playing, which is really fun, or you can play a solo mode and have some extra special rules for that. And your idea is you're supposed to be trying to stop all the different zombies. There are going to be some big zombie bosses, which are essentially kind of like the Abominations. And you have regular zombies, which are kind of like your walkers, and then your special zombies, which are kind of like your brutes. And there's some different turn cards and all this different stuff, so it's a little bit random every time. So this is going to kind of go over what's on each card, but we'll explain that when I actually show off the characters, so we can kind of look at them that way. But yeah, so the game setup is pretty straightforward. You're going to have all the cards laid out, so each player is going to have their own board. They're going to have zombies that are going to go next to their cards, and they're going to slowly move down towards them. If they reach the bottom, then they start attacking. So you have a few turns to try and kill them before they do. There's going to be random spawn decks. There's going to be a boss. And the game is played over a course of 9 rounds and then 2 phases. So the first round is going to have a bunch of regular zombies, and then the second phase is fighting the boss. So hopefully you get rid of all the regular zombies before the boss appears. Otherwise, you're going to start having a challenge. So like here's what I'm showing off there. You're going to start with these 9 round cards, and then you will spawn them down here at the bottom, and they'll tell you how each one spawns. And then when you play round 2, instead you reshuffle all your turn cards to tell you what's going on, and then you get to, instead, now you have to then fight boss cards, which will have 2 different stages there, so do different amounts of damage. And the turns are pretty easy. So you're going to reveal, it's going to show you on your reveal card what type of attack your character can use as survivor, and then what zombies move. Then attack is we're going to draw in and fill in the various spaces on zombies. This is showing up the person using a concrete saw, which has an L-shaped block. They have to then draw an L shape into one of these spots. And like this is showing that it's proper. And these are showing how they don't fit, because they don't fit inside the defined shape. Other things we can get are armor and ammo. I'm going to go over a little bit more of these when I get into the actual character cards. Special weapon effect. Killing zombies gets you stuff. And then you can also upgrade your weapons and make your characters better over the course of the game. Step 4 is zombies will walk. If you have that draw kind, they'll move down. When they hit the bottom, then they'll start attacking you. Which you can use. Yeah, you have so much health, and then you have shields. Now, every character has the same amount of health, and that, so it's not like one's necessarily better than the other. And then step 5 is spawning and boss cards. You have cards you'll flip over to see what you're spawning, how many you're spawning, based on various difficulties. So if you have more players, you're going to spawn more cards. What's neat is when you do spawn them, if you have to spawn, 4 different zombies, they go to the group, they go overall, and then you get to decide who in the group can take them. So if one character already has, survivor already has like 3 or 4 zombies on them, and one character's been able to luckily get rid of all theirs, you could give it to the guy that has less, so they're not getting overwhelmed. And then bosses just kind of move around the board. So they'll go from player to player, and then you can only attack the boss if it's in front of you. So you might get some turns of reprieve. And then there's special weapon effects, which we'll kind of go over with each character. So how do you win or lose the game? Survivors win if they manage to kill the boss. Doesn't matter how much health they have left or how many zombies are still alive in front of them. So as the boss moves in front of you, he's your priority. Kill him. Don't worry about the other zombies as much. The only reason to get rid of them is so that they don't damage you every turn. And then survivors lose if any of the conditions are met. At any point, a survivor is killed. In fact, at the end of the second round, survivors haven't killed the boss. So again, that becomes your primary focus. So your goal in the first round is to kill as many zombies as possible, so that you can get upgrades and things like that. And hopefully, so you also don't lose a ton of health. And then when round 2 starts, you can kind of focus on the boss. So there's basically 3 big types of zombies. There's regular zombies, lower health and lower attacks. Special zombies, a little bit stronger, more health bars, a little bit more special attacks they can do. And then the bosses. And so we'll look at these guys all a little bit more as we're going along as well. But I do like to have like what the special rules and everything do for each character. And then there's also a solo mode, which lets you add extra additional companions. And we'll come back to that when we get into that part. I just kind of want a little brief run over. So here's your backside, so your round setup. You set your round up like this. For each round, you have these stacks of cards. What to do, and then what some of the special zombies do. Alright, so let's look at some of these cards here. So we're going to have our big character cards. I'm going to see if I can... I'm going to flip one of these up like this so we can look at it a little bit better. So here we have Bradley. So Bradley's going to have 4 different weapons. They're going to each have one for each color. And the yellow one is their specialty weapon. And one good way to note that is they already have the upgrades checked off. So he can use the Army Sniper Rifle, got some glare on here unfortunately. The Mosberg 550, and the chainsaw and the electric mower. And you can see the different patterns they're going to do. So like the sniper rifle can hit in a diagonal pattern. And now, when you are drawing these on a zombie, you can flip them upside down, you can reverse them, as long as the pattern maintains the same integrity or shape that it would have. Checking L has to just be 4 squares in a row. It can be 4 up and down, it can be 4 left or right. So they have some different options there. And then as you defeat zombies, you're going to mark off different upgrades. Now you don't have to mark it off for the weapon you killed that zombie with. It can be anything you'd like to upgrade, but you have to upgrade them first one, then 2. What is nice though is on each player's card, they do explain what their upgrades do. So you don't have to keep going back to the book for each character. So if we look at this, the first one with the sniper rifle has the targeting system, so that's going to give long range. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit better there. So it says may target a zombie of an adjacent survivor. Both survivors gain bonuses from gaining ammo or shields. This crosses off. So it's fun there is that you can help out other players. You can shoot over. So maybe if you don't have anything or your attack won't do anything that turn, you can opt to help other players out. Then the second thing it has is the arrow pushing forward, which is knockback. So it's push the zombie to the 3rd street. So this helps keep them from attacking you. If we look over at our Mosenberg, we have a gear with an arrow in it. That's going to be the gear up symbol. So for each ammo or armor, this crosses off, getting 1 additional of the same type. And then the other one we have is 2 arrows pulling away from each other, which is split. This may split this hit shape in 2 shapes, drawing both on the same zombie. So what that means is here we have 4 blocks that have to be in a line. So that's actually a really cool ability, because what you can do is you can draw a 1 and 3, you can draw a 2 and 2. As long as it's 2 separate shapes. So you can kind of split them up a little bit, giving you a little bit more leeway on how you do stuff. Now you'll also notice that they have a special ability right on top. So the Mosenberg starts with the knockback arrow, The sniper rifle starts at the ×2, so it says NX multi-hit. When activating this weapon, draw this shape N times. So when you normally draw the sniper rifle, you gotta put them 2 dots wherever you like twice, and then you can upgrade it to the other 2 things. So if we get down to the chainsaw, and you see chainsaw doesn't have a built-in ability, does have that split, but it also has a multi-squares with an arrow running through it, which is cut down. This is kind of a special ability. So it says, draw this hit shape on one zombie in each street slot and the boss in front of you. So that's kind of cool. So it can go straight back and hit a bunch of guys right in a row. Now, it has to be all ones up and down. So if I have, let me zoom back a little bit. If I have 2 zombies like this, and I have another one down here, for example, I can hit both of these, but I can't hit, if I choose the runner here, I can't hit just the runner because they're in different spaces. Because you'll line zombies up and down and left and right. And then finally we have the electric motor, which starts at that cut down, as well as it starts with the gear up. Then the final 2 things on a character card are going to be on the side here. You have your street spots. This is where you'll put your zombies. This is Street 3, Street 2, and Street 1. Like I said, they will eventually, you can start getting them. They can like expand out to different spots, and then they'll eventually move down into the attack zone. So then you want to try and eliminate them as quickly as possible so they don't do damage. And we'll go over what they're, how to take out them in just a moment. So then the last 4 things on here are the health bar on the bottom. So every time you take damage, cross off a health. So we just have our little marker here. It's as fairly as simple as being, bloop, he's taking a hit. Then you have ammo and shields. Anytime you hit a spot on a zombie that shows one of these pictures, you draw an outline around it. So I'm not going to draw a very good outline. Now this means I have 1 ammo and 1 shield available. So if I take a hit, I can now cross off one of my shields that I have instead of taking damage. So that's very fun there. The ammo lets you place a single hit on another thing. So after I do my attack, so if I attack with my Mosenberg and I do my 3 shapes in a row. Sorry, this is 3, this is 4. I just noticed these are different sizes. After I do my 3, though, I could also place, I could opt to cross off my ammo to place 1 other ammo slot somewhere else. So how does that look? So let's take a look at a zombie before we jump into the other characters. So here is a standard zombie. So on the back, you're just going to have the yellow, versus if we get a special one, they'll have a red face, or a black face instead of a red face instead of a black face. So the zombies on here are going to have a couple of different things. They might have symbols like your ammo or your shields, which you can collect. They'll have damage stars. So if they're in here, you can cover them up. They won't do that damage. If they have damage outside their box, they're always going to do this damage. So if this runner gets to the end of your street, he's going to always do 1 damage to you no matter what. But you can at least try and prevent the other 2 from happening. And then these are their move speeds. So either move when you draw a card that shows a movement speed on there. I can find one. So if we drew like this card here, it's going to show that I use the red weapon. It gets to move 1 space. And that's basically it. So now when I have to attack, you have to draw a shape in there. So if I drew this as my first draw card, I have to use a green weapon. So if I look at Bradley's here, his is the Mosenberg, which has that 3. Now it only has knockback right now. I don't have the upgrades. So I have to draw 3 spots, either up and down or left and right. Now you have to draw, it has to stay in this spot. So I could cover up these 3 spots here. I could cover up these 3. I could cover up these 3 in the middle, or I could do 3 left and right. I can't do these 3 here because it would take me outside the white spot. I can't do like down here, so it has to stay in that spot. So beginning shot, very easy to do. I could be like, I want to get rid of this damage right away. So I could cross off this and you're like, okay, he's taking care of that damage. Let's see if I can zoom down a little bit better for you guys. A little bit better lighting. Yeah, so I've done that. So now, like, on my next round, let's say I drew my sniper rifle. I get to draw two spots, but they have to be that direction. So now here's where I run into an issue, because I don't have two spots that I can do that for. Because I could do this one and that one, or I could do this one and this one, but I don't have two other ones in that shape, no matter how I rotate it. So I don't have the option to fire my sniper rifle at this character. So in that case, what you could do is I would have basically two options at this point. Is if I had the sniper rifle activated, I could shoot another player's zombie. You know, so that'd definitely be very helpful to get that so I could use that somewhere else. Otherwise, I can forego shooting it and I can cover up one spot. So I could be like, you know what spot's going to be maybe hard to get to is, let's say there's a shield down here. So I could cross off that. Now, since I did that, I get to add a shield on there. You know, and then now, okay, we get to turn 3. And I drew the electric mower. So now the electric mower is kind of fun because I can draw this L shape, but also get my gear up ability. So I have double gear up. So I definitely want to take out this damage spot. So I'm going to take out this, and that. So now that guy's not going to do any damage to me in that sense, and I get 2 bullets. So now my next round I play, if I draw my, for Bradley here, if I would get the sniper rifle, I can't use it. Electric mower, I can't use it because I only have the 2 spots up and down. I can't use my chainsaw and I can't use my Moseberg because I only have 2 holes left, so I can't use any of my weapons to take this out. So my only other option is to fire with my 2 bullets. Now what I could do though is I could target a different zombie with one of my weapons and then use the 2 bullets to take out this one. And then once those 2 are covered up, I remove the zombie. So that's fairly simple there. And then these just erase right off. Voila. So that is how those guys all kind of work. I'm going to finish erasing the rest of the stuff off of Bradley's card. So yeah, then you're going to have a bunch of your spawn cards. So you're going to have, I think, 10 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep, you have 10, so there's always going to be one that's not used. But you're going to have, basically, your, what color card you're using, and then whether it's a movement ability. So it's going to show if it moves. Any zombies that have the 1 arrow will move. Thus you use a blue. Now, if it has this little smiley face, this is for solo play. Lets you use a companion that turn. Green, 1 move. Red, 1 move. Green, 2 move. And blue, 2 move. Green, 2 move. Then we have a yellow, which is your signature weapon, which both of them will move. So it's a little bit harder. Then red, blue, and green without moves. So there's one card with a, so each thing will have one that lets you do their, each color with either a single move or a double move or no move. And there's that one random yellow one. So you're not going to get your yellow card super often, but when you do, it's going to be pretty badass. Which is why it's kind of like your signature weapon. And then when you get to round, or you're gonna start, when you have to start spawning cards, we have these special spawn cards. So these only play for the last couple of rounds. They're basically going to tell you what they spawn. So we have some A's. We have 3 A's. We have 2 B's and 2 C's. So what this means is you're going to have one of these special cards here. So this is the same if I'm playing a 1-player game. And there's one for 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6-player game. So each time I draw one of those spawn cards, so I'm going to flip my move over, do my move and attack, do that. Then you will play a spawn card. So if I'm playing 6 players, I'm going to draw 5 zombies. And now you have to spread these out. Now if you drew a C card, you're going to do 3 regular zombies, 2 special zombies. And they're going to obviously change per number of players. So 1 player's 1, 1, and 1, a lot easier. You get into the middle, like 4 players, you get 3s. So it's a little, so basically how that is going to work for those. And we'll play through a quick round as well. And then we also have zombie boss cards, which they get set the same way as the spawn cards, where you have phase 1 and then phase 2, which is the blue and yellow. So phase 1 is just going to show that they attack and spawn zombies, or they'll attack and do special damage, special damage, special damage. So it's just going to show the different stuff they do. And we'll go over that a little bit more when we get to the actual zombies. This is our difficulty card. So this is going to show what type of difficulty do you want to play at. So, of course, recommended starting with easy. So the first start is the number you spawn with. So if you're playing easy, each player is gonna start with 2. Sorry, not each player. Each player is gonna start with 2 zombies. And then your spawn difficulty is gonna show the side of the card you use. Sorry, I did show off these black cards. These on the back side, there's also red ones, which are just a little bit harder difficulty as well. So you get a little bit more. So even like the beginning one, instead of 1, 2, and 1 versus 1, 1, and 1. So you have a little bit extra challenge there. So you can challenge higher difficulties that way by playing with them. And it's also going to show your boss difficulties. So bosses all have 2 different sides of difficulty. So you can start with the easy one, then you can go to the harder one. So it's kind of cool. You can play multiple players. You can play different difficulty levels. Things like that are going to make this game, very much replayable. Then the back side of that is just going to show after you set up the game, you don't really need to have that out anymore. It's going to show your reveals, or what your turn is. So reveal, attack, upgrade, zombie walk, and spawn and boss attacks. So fairly simple there. Alright, so let's look at the rest of these characters before we kind of jump into like a sample gameplay. Alright, I'm going to zoom this back up here a little bit. So we had Bradley. So now if you flip them over, you have 1 player here. So each one is going to have a different set of abilities. They still have the same health and ammo, same weapon names, but they do work a little bit differently. So like the sniper rifle, they're all the same symbols, which is nice, at least for this character. I don't know if it stays the same for every character. I'm going to imagine it does, but they do gain some different abilities. So it has +1x instead of range, because there's no other characters you shoot in single player, so it just lets you place the thing more often. Then it looks like all the rest of the abilities stay the same. So that's kind of neat. You got 1 player options. Up next, we're going to have Yara, who's this badass Claude lady. She's going to have the Scythe, which will give her this kind of like odd shape, but then it's going to have an adrenaline ability. So let's take 1 damage to activate this weapon a second time. So that's kind of helpful if you really need to. And then you have that split, so you can play it in different orders. So now what's neat with that is because you could place it as these 2 cross pieces by itself. And then there's 2 cross pieces, and there's 1 off by itself somewhere else if you split them. Or you could play these 2 together with that 1 somewhere else. Or the third way is you could play that one there, and then there's middle piece somewhere off by itself. So it gives you 3 different options. Then she has a long-range weapon, an SSG-08, which has knockback, sniper, and split. We have the baseball bat, which just does 1 spot, but you can do it 3 times. And it also has a shield with a plus sign, which says Savage. For each hit crossed off, gain 1 shield. So that's kind of fun. That could be very useful. And then finally, her signature weapon are the metal claws, which have ×2 and a adrenaline boost. So definitely neat there. And then if we flip over to the first player side, just get a little bit different stuff. Not too much with this character, but enough. Then we have Skylar. Skylar is going to have an AK-47 with a range ×2, and also has ranged and ammo boost. So it says lock and load. For each hit crossed off, gain 1 extra bullet. The M16A4, which has the ammo and armor. Concrete Saw, which has a target and a shield. So the target says critical hit. If this crosses off a damage, activate this weapon a second time on another zombie. So that's definitely fun. You can use it a second time somewhere else. And the Golden Duel signature weapon, which has ranged and accuracy, or critical hit. Then we flip them over. Lots of the same stuff. Again, they just kind of get rid of some of the ranged abilities for the other stuff. Our third character is Roger, who's a doctor with a rocket launcher. So he has a sledgehammer, a sniper rifle, an incendiary grenade, and an RPG-7. So the grenade and the RPG have a new symbol. They have explosive. Draw this hit shape on each zombie in a single streak slot and the boss in front of you. So we had the other one that let us go up and down. This one lets you go left and right. So it's kind of a great way to take out a bunch of characters all at once. And there we have his other side. And then we have Ethan, who's a ninja. So he starts with an assault shotgun, a katana, which has a lightning bolt symbol, the compound bow, which has some range, which is kind of a neat little double symbol there, and then the Senzetsukan, which has a huge area, which could be very good and very bad, but both that and the katana have this lightning bolt. The lightning bolt is frenzy. It says cross off the next circle and gain all of the ammo or shields below the X. So every time you use it, you gain an extra ability, well, occasionally. So that's kind of neat. So the more you use one of those, you do it. Now, what's neat, though, is each time you use the katana, you're going to be filling that up for the other ability as well, as long as you selected the katana. Then on the other side, he has the same exact stuff, basically. I mean, some of the stuff changes a little bit. And our final character is Lisa. She has a Leon 12 gauge, a submachine gun, a Krieg 550, and a minigun. The minigun has ×4 for that, which is pretty fun. So now both the Leon and the minigun have the circle, which is fast reload. Spend 1 ammo to activate this weapon a second time. So instead of spending an ammo to shoot a single spot, you can use it to fire the weapon a single time, which the minigun, that's super powerful. The Leon, that could be hit or miss depending on what you need to do. And then on her other side, she has that. Alright, so those are all those guys. Alright, then we have a big giant deck of all the zombies. So there's going to be quite a few of them, so you're not going to run out. So let's look at our zombie cards quick. We have runners. So one thing that's fun about the runners is they have multiple different shapes and abilities. So here we have like a soccer player who has ammo, shield, and 2 hits in there. Does 1 hit regularly, has double run. We have another runner that's like a jogger. So it's a different shape. And then we have the runner that's the tennis player. But they all have the same symbols in them. And a runner that's a mailman. And this runner that looks like maybe some sort of, I don't know, thug, gangster, just maybe jogger out running, not really sure. But yeah, so it's kind of fun. So you get 5 different ones, and then you're going to get some different versions of those. So those 5, and then you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you have a couple different copies of them. So we have some extra ones there. So we get a bunch of different runners. 5, 6, 7. So a couple of them duplicate up. But you get some variety there. So it's kind of neat because that way you're not just getting, oh, I got a runner. It's this shape. You don't know what shape they're going to be. You got multiple runners with different shapes. Then, of course, we have walkers. So these walkers have the double speed only, but we have like a doctor. So now these guys only have, they still have the 2 damage in there, the 1 permanent damage. But then they have only 1 symbol in there just for ammo. So we have a guy in a penguin suit, a karate expert, looks like some sort of farmer or like market person, and a fisherman. And then we'll get our duplicates of those. So all the, it's all got the same picture. They have the same hitboxes. But yeah, so there's a bunch of different walkers. Then we have some zombie dogs. So we have a police Saint Bernard. So these guys have shields in them, but they have multiple hits. So they're a little bit harder to take out. Or you want to take them out, they'll do more damage, I should say. Like this one has a ammo. So this is kind of neat. They did 2 different designs for some of these. So it's like a regular dog version, and then they have like a police dog version, which has the shield, and the same thing, we have the Saint Bernard. So they have the same hitboxes. So the regular Saint Bernard, or the police one, and the regular one have the exact same hitboxes. Just one has a shield and one has a bullet. And the same thing for the canine. Then we have a little pit bull. I don't know why that one has 2 completely different arts. And then we have some duplicate zombie dogs. It's like 2 of each. So cool. Those are those guys. Then we have some crawlers who have slower speed. So your runners will move at both speed. Your walkers and dogs will move at the double speed arrow. And crawlers will move at single speed. And then we have a bunch of crawlers. So this businessman. This guy here. We have the bride. We have a biker. We have a probably some sort of war vet protester. And then we have a bunch of duplicates. So these are different zombies you're going to be trying to cover up and kill. And your main goal is to, for sure, at least take care of, to start with, take care of the 2 red dots so you don't take extra damage when they get down. But they have the one in the bottom, so they'll continually do damage to you until you take out the rest of the things. You might have to spend extra ammo points, which are also good to get then. Or extra shields. Or just spend a turn taking them out. Then we have the special deck, which have the red on the back. So we're going to get bombers. Bombers have special abilities. Now they're going to always do 2 down here. The red is going to be the same. They just have it red, and the red borders just are kind of different to the red and black characters. But as a special ability, it says when a bomber would attack, the survivor discards a zombie instead if they do not gain an upgrade. Each survivor suffers damage equal to the number of hits not crossed off on that bomber. So when this guy gets up to you, he's going to automatically do 2 damage no matter what if he attacks. But if you don't cross off the other 3, he's going to do up to 5. It hits everybody. So taking out bombers are super important because they will explode and take you out. So we have this big giant brute lady. And then we have this other big fat guy. And then we have 2 copies of each of those. Okay, we have more than that. 3. I think that's it. This can have them all in order. So we have 3 copies of each of those guys. Then up next we have the other special type. We have Stinkies. These guys carrying some garbage. frat boy, it looks like. His symbol down here in the bottom is, well, a stinky zombie is in any street slot in front of a survivor. Each other zombie in front of that survivor counts as having extra attack. So yeah, if you don't take out these guys, they're going to make everyone else around them more powerful. But what's kind of nice is they have a bunch of ammo and armor in them. So then we're going to get this mom lady. And then we'll have a couple copies of each of those. So those are the two special types of zombies. For those types. Then we're going to get some brutes, which are just bigger hitboxes. And you see all these guys so far have been slow, or it's the one arrow. But they have multiples. We got a big giant housewife lady. We have a giant chef. And we're going to get a couple copies of each of those. It's like 3 each. And then the last type is we have the double arrow movement. We have the soldiers. So neither of these guys, the brutes or the soldiers, have special abilities. I kind of wish they did. Like, it'd be neat if the soldiers even had like a range thing. So like when they get attacked, they did one hit to like one adjacent character. That'd be kind of a neat idea too. But that's alright. So these guys have more ammo in them. But we have the crouching soldier, and then we have the standing soldier, and we're going to get 3 copies of each of those. So those are our different harder special characters to fight. Then the last thing we have are the bosses. So the bosses are going to be these bigger giant cards. So they're not as tall as our survivor cards, but they're definitely a lot bigger than our regular ones. So they're kind of cool there. So we're going to start off. Now, each one of these is going to have a double side. So we have Super Zombie here. I'm going to flip my camera back up a bit so you can I don't have to hold these. So each side will have a black side or a red side for more difficulty. And the big thing with the difficulty is they're going to gain a lot more attack spots. And all of that fun stuff there. So just what we have on here. So we got regular Super Zombie. He's supposed to be like the easy one to fight. Is of course on the very bottom we have the yellow and blue stars. These are your fixed damage, much like the other zombies have the red ones. So these cannot be crossed off, but the blue one only works when you get to phase 2. So while we're going through the zombie cards, if we flip over this card, it's just going to do damage if it's yellow. But if we flip over this one, it's going to do yellow and blue. So in some of the zombies, like we flip over to the other side, not this guy, but some of the other zombies, like this screamer here, will have yellow and blue in there. So the blue ones only activate during that second phase. So you can kind of get ahead of that a bit. So there's HP spaces, of course, armor slots, damage spots. So now it says, when a boss attacks, deals damage to all the survivors for each thing not crossed off. So when the bosses come out, even though they're in front of player 1, that's the only one that can attack them. They're going to attack everybody. So it is important for everyone to work as a team to take these guys out, because that's the whole point of this. And then some of them in the bottom corners, or one of the corners, they might have a little red box, like the zombie pyramid. Which is going to show that it has a special skill. So some of them have special rules that can only be used. And then some of them have their special skill, which has the little lightning bolt, or like comet box. So these are things that are going to activate when you draw in the boss cards. So it's going to do this damage plus its special ability. So for like, you'll have to refer to the book for each one for what they exactly do. So for his, let me jump over into him. It says each time a special attack skill or special skill is revealed, the Super Abomination breaks all armor of survivors, or breaks the armor of all survivors. Each survivor must cross off 2 outline shields if it has less than 2 then you can cross off as many as it happens. So he's going to break your shields. But yeah, you can see he has a bunch of defense on him. No extra ammo, unfortunately, but he has a very unique shape. And if we flip him to his other side, it's going to be a lot of the same stuff, but now he has some extra damage down there. Alright, let's look at some of our other bosses. We have the Zombie Pyramid. So they're going to have one here that says, each one they're going to take a damage, which can't be blocked by shield, so they do it, they're going to automatically take off damage. And then these guys have a crazy rule. It says hit shapes can only be drawn adjacent to crossed off spaces. So you have to start by matching up here. So you might end up having to spend, if you don't have something to fit in those two squares there, you might have to spend a 1 there and a 1 there. So this could be kind of a pain to do. And then as you can get down into here, that's a lot easier to fill out this bottom because it opens up. But getting past that initial bit could be a little bit of a pain. And now they are going to have some of the blue spots on there. So it says can be orthogonally or diagonally adjacent. So as long as it's... So you could actually start with a hit right here. And then later have to try and fill in them. And then the other side just going to have some different stars in different locations. Our third zombie is the Screamer boss. So it says HP spaces inside the dotted lines can only be crossed off if the Screamer has used its skill during the last turn. So it's going to make this guy very hard to fight. Check wait for a skill. It says crossed off the leftmost empty spot and then move all the zombies. So when he screams, the first time you're going to get to activate all the single arrow, then double, then single, then double. And he only gets to do it, looks like 4 times, so there must only be 4 of them cards in the deck. But that's going to make it really hard, because once that goes off, then you have to target into that area. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to. So that's kind of a neat little effect there. And if we flip them over to the other side, that area got bigger. Which is a really neat idea. Our next one is the Mutation. So we got kind of an alien. It says, if the hit shape overlap any dotted lines, take a damage. So it says, when drawing hit shapes on Mutation, if it overlaps any spotted line, you suffer 1 damage. So what this means is, I could cross off, like here. Whoops. I could cross off here, here, and here, and be fine. But if I did this and then this, I would have to take a point of damage. So sometimes you might have to, just because you need to clear up them spaces. But, yeah, you kind of want to try and avoid going around that. And that's just going to make this very interesting. Then his special skill at the bottom says each time it's revealed, he takes a powerful attack against all survivors, which says deals 2 damage to each survivor unless they have 1 shield, in which case they may cross it off instead of suffering 2 damage. So you're either going to take 2 damage or you have to cross off 1 shield. And then his other side, just because the lines kind of move around a bit, make him a little bit harder or difficult to fight. And then we have 2 that are kind of neat because they're sideways. We have the Zombie Fant. So it says when a bone is crossed off, a bone space is surrounded, cross off its HP spaces in its columns and row. So it says the bones on the zone do not need to be crossed off to kill it, so you don't have to cross off those. But when all H spaces adjacent are cross off all HPs in the same row and column. So what that basically means is, if I can somehow cross off all 8 of these, I now get to finish crossing off all of these and all of those. And you can see where some of these would definitely help, because then if you crossed off this bunch, now you also get to cross off all of these and all of these, which now means I already got 2 done over here, and then if you could finish off of these, then that's going to finish off this row and this row. And now it only leaves me 2 spaces left to cross off them. Which, one hand makes that a little bit easier because now you've crossed off a lot more. The other hand is now I have to do 2 separate spots instead of being able to do like a line or that. So I could definitely make some interesting things. Although you could kind of plan that ahead too. And like put a line across the top or a line around it, and then they'll just run into each other. His special ability says, when it's revealed over here, it says, this deals 2 damage to each survivor unless they have a bullet. In this case, they may cross it off instead of suffering 2 damage. Now, the only thing I wonder, though, is because his just shows 2 damage, where all the rest show the health loss, like that, is I wonder if that means you could block it with extra shields as well. So if I could spend shields to prevent that damage if I wanted to. I'm not sure. It doesn't say that, but it's weird that it added 2 different symbols. Then we have a different elephant, which has a lot smaller squares, which has a lot more that it has to do. So that's actually pretty cool. I like that they did that for some of the characters. They just gave them more spots. Then our final one are the Dead Socks. So Dead Socks is composed of 3 separate bosses. When a boss is killed, it no longer attacks. So you have to defeat each one of these 3 guys separately. And then their damage is they do 1 damage per each survivor alive. So you get an additional damage for each one. So special is composed of that if anyone is killed, that zombie does not attack, but the remaining members do. So the catcher, the bagger, and the pitcher. Each dead sock has a unique type of damage. The catcher deals, so I'm gonna kind of look at that. So these are little armor breakers. Deals armor damage. When he attacks, the survivor must cross off shields instead of hearts. If the survivor has less shields than the damage suffered, then we cross off as many as they had. Nothing else happens. So he's just gonna focus on weakening up your shields. The batter in the middle does damage as usual, and then the catcher does direct damage that can't be blocked. So I think that's what with the elephant is. You could block that because it's different than those. But that's actually, kind of a very unique type of gameplay. Alright, so then the last thing we kind of gotta go over are the companion cards. So we're gonna get these little guys here. So it says, when playing in solo mode, after choosing the survivor, and flipping their dashboard to one side, player randomly selects 3 companion cards with a name different than the survivor. So if I'm playing as Yara, I can't use Yara as a survivor. And then places them next to their dashboard. So then when you draw a card that has that smiley face on it, you use their ability as well. So it says, whenever a card with a smiley face is revealed, player may choose one of their face-up companions and flip it face down to activate them. This can be done before or activating the survivor weapon. The companion not be activated again until the next round. At the start of round 2, you flip them all face back up. So basically, you get to use the 3 of them, and there are 3 in there. So there's 3 things. So unless that's, because again, there's 10 turn cards, and you only play 9 of them, so there's always a chance that 1 might not be drawn. So I always use at least 2 companions each turn. But yeah, so they're going to kind of use their special weapons there. So Yara's going to have her claws, which give her the adrenaline boost. So you can take 1 damage. Now, they don't have health or anything, so you can't put damage on them. Anything like that. It's going to show their hit shape in that. We have Lisa, who's going to have her big gun there, which has ×5. Ethan, who's going to have his Sekozikin, which has split, which is really fun because there's so many different ways you can split that apart. Bradley, who has his lawnmower, who has cut down. Roger, who has his explosives, which hitting a line. And Skylar, which has the critical, which means he can activate it a second time if he does a hit. So that's all the different stuff for the game. Very long video to go through all of this, but really fun. So I'm going to do a quick part 2 of this if you'd like to check it out, where I just started doing a round or 2 playthrough, just so you guys can kind of see what it's like. But if you're looking for a fun Zombicide-ish game without being the Zombicide